folks, thanks for joining me today. So today we're going to be using a mold from the Happy Dotting Company, and I've painted the rock white as a primer, and now we're going to do our painting on it. Now I do a lot of blending on this, and that's just me trying to get things absolutely perfect the way that I wanted it. Reviewing the footage afterwards, there's many times I could have stopped and it would have been just fine. But I just really was going after this absolute perfect kind of a sunset on the water, and I ended up making a bit of a muddy mess and things blended in together too much. But I was able to salvage it and it turned out to look okay. So basically, what I'm saying is you don't need to overblend like I do. You can just gently go over it and blend it in together. You can use a finger sponge. In this particular one, I just used a brush. I wanted the colors to sort of merge into each other. See, like right there, the top there is perfect. I don't really need to do any more, but I do. And I haven't even started on the bottom yet. So, but you know what? It's all good. It worked and I'm okay with it. So do what you do. You don't have to overdo it like I did. Maybe overdoing it was part of the process that I went through. I don't know. But like I said, at the end, when you see the photos, it did turn out looking really good. So I'm pretty pleased with it, even though it was a long journey to get there. Um, Using a finger sponge probably would have been better to blend these colors together. And then maybe taking just a fine lining brush that's been dipped into some water and then just gliding over it ever so gently to get the lines in. That might have worked. Maybe that's something I'll do for another tutorial and see how it goes. But as you can see that my yellow is getting completely lost. I'm putting too much red on. The orange took over. It's what a mess. Anyway, so the colors that I used are listed in the description below. What I used was DecoArt white for the base coat. And then for all of the colors that you're seeing me use right now, I used FolkArt Daffodil Yellow, Patina, and then I use a sparkle varnish at the end. I also use Delta Blue Lagoon, and I used Americana Berry Red and Jack-o'-lantern Orange. So those are the colors that I used. I do use black as well. That's also from DecoArt. But those are the colors that I used. You don't have to use the same colors that I use. Whatever you have in your stash will work just fine. And maybe your color choices will be a better blend than what I ended up getting in this. I'm I'm really sorry, guys. I really wanted this one to be really nice. I did one similar to this as a commission for Christmas, and it turned out marvelous. So I wanted to share with you guys how it turned out, and I'm telling you, this is not what the original one looked like. And I have to admit that when I put more thought into it, the harder it got. So I think the less you think about it, the better it comes out. I don't know. That works for me. So, anyways, I'm just continuing to try to blend in these colors. And I guess maybe what I should have done was waited for it to dry and then started over. But no, I had to keep going and keep going and keep going. So it ended up into a bit of a muddy mess, but it does turn out nice, like I said. Trust me on that. I've said it 3 times now, so it's got to be true. Anyway, so this is actually going to be a sunset on a water. Uh, it's going to be the ocean because we're going to paint a dolphin diving or doing an arch dive out of the water. So the one that I did make for Christmas for the commission, if I have a picture of it, I'll put that in the end of the video as well, because it did turn out a lot nicer than this one did, but it was the same concept. So that's what I ended up doing. And I'm just, putting paint on back and forth. I'm keeping my paint strokes to go in the same lines because you don't want that to be, up and down plus sideways. So you got to pick the direction and stick with that as you go. And one thing that I did do for this background is different than any other ones. I'm just going to pause right now. Like, doesn't that look amazing? I should have just left it alone. But no, I keep going. Anyway, so because I have put so many layers of paint on this, I ended up with air bubbles that popped and it didn't look very good. So what I did was something totally different I've never done before. I thought I would give it a try, and I took some sandpaper after it was completely dry and I sanded it down so it was smooth. Well, where those air bubbles were trapped, they ended up creating these little white round circle things all over. And it turned out it looked really cool. Here, I'm doing it right now. And you can start to see, I'll show you soon, right now. See, look at all those. So that's the white paint from underneath that I primed this with is now popping through from those air bubbles that have popped, and then I covered them over with more paint. So it actually looks kind of cool. So now I'm putting on that sparkle glaze or sparkle varnish from FolkArt, and I let that completely dry. And then with my black and my fine lining paintbrush, I draw a line, and that's going to be my horizon, sort of where, land meets water meets sky, not in that order. Um, so yeah, so I do that and I give it a little bit of bumps, and that one I got it carried away and couldn't wipe it off. So in comes the Q-tips or the cotton swabs, a little bit of water, cleans it right up, and real nice. And then I can go back in and redo it again. And so I do. And so I just use like little bumps and little sort of wavy lines. I just let my paintbrush glide across because really I'm trying to get the image of a far off distant land. So I don't want a straight line. Now I'm using my General's charcoal pencil, and yes, this one's been used quite a bit, as you can tell by the size of it. I'm just using the General's charcoal pencil to sketch on the dolphin. And I know it's hard for you to see, but when in real time, I could see this no problem. So it's just from the glare from the light coming off of that sparkle varnish that I put on, and when it dried, it creates like a glare. So unfortunately, you can't see it, or you can't see it as well as I could, but when I did draw it on, I could see it no problem. So I start at the bottom and I'm just putting it on black. This is a complete silhouette of the dolphin, and I just carry on and follow my outline that I put on with my General's charcoal pencil. The nice thing with having the sparkle varnish on, if I do happen to make a mistake, the paint is a lot easier to lift off than it is if I didn't do that step. So it would end up lifting off not just the black paint that I'm putting on, but anything below it as well. So it's another kind of reason why I put on the sparkle varnish. You don't have to do sparkle. You could just use like the triple thick. That would work just to seal your background so you can paint on top. Or you can even resin, do your silhouette on top, and then resin again. Totally up to you. But I like using the sparkle varnish because it's two steps in one. It gives me that extra bling bling or glitter kind of look to it, as well as it seals it. So I can go ahead and put the dolphin on. It's the only reason why I do it, and it's two steps and done in one, and it dries really quickly. Resin, you got to wait 24 hours. Triple thick, you got to wait for at least 3 to 4 hours. At least I do. So this is just a faster, easier step for me to do. Now, as I continue to paint this, I just want to remind everybody that my Etsy shop is up and running. So I urge you to please go on over there and check it out. I do have a special of mystery box. So what that is it's going to be a bunch of things that I've created, and it's a mystery to what you're going to get. But I will handpick especially for you. And the first four that order that, I am going to be putting in one of these Lazy Susans or these things in with some of my other surprises that I will put in there. So the first four to order the mystery box will get one of these Lazy Susans that I paint my rocks on. So if you want to get one of those, plus some other stuff that I might throw in the box, especially for you, head on over to my Etsy page or my Etsy shop and order that, and I'll get it shipped out to you right away. And let me just interrupt the whole painting thing right now. I'm just going to take this quick moment to say, if you like the video, give me the thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I post new content every week, so ring that notification bell so you get a notification when I do. And now for your useless information about dolphins. So this I found very interesting. So it's not really useless, but it's really cool. So dolphins, I didn't know this, but they have two stomachs. That's right, two stomachs. What they use them for is one of them is like a storage compartment, and then the other one is for digesting. So they actually eat as much as they possibly can. They digest what they need, and then they store the rest of it into another stomach. And it's because they eat approximately 33 pounds of fish every single day. Like, holy moly, that's quite amazing. And so there's your useless information, but I found it actually pretty cool. So I find that very interesting. So back to the painting, what I'm doing is I'm adding some highlights. I'm just using some of that sparkle varnish, and I added a little bit of white paint just to make it stand out a little bit more. And then I mixed in some white and black paint together for some gray to add this. It's not really a shadow, it's more of a reflection of the dolphin on the water. So I did that. I did no border. I waited for it to dry, and I gave it a coat of resin. I actually had to do two because the sparkle varnish was so close to the surface that I needed to get a nice even coverage. So I ended up doing two, but it turned out really nice, even though I made a big muddy mess in the beginning. So there you have it, folks. Life is what you make it, so get creative.